In JavaScript programming, the range slider is a slider that has a certain range. You can also use multiple range sliders to create more than two outputs. The output values of a range switch can be manipulated using switch statements. If you are new to this channel, just hit the subscribe button for free. First, we should add a title with description to the web page. We have already discussed in a previous video that H1 is for the title and P is for the paragraphs. Next, we insert a table to create divisions on the web page. In this demonstration, we will be featuring 4 range switches. We will align the table towards the center using cascading style sheets or CSS. We will add a range slider to each column in the table. If you look at the range switch codes carefully, you will notice that the type should be a range and there is a minimum and maximum value. We set the value to a certain number, and then we give it an identity in double quotation marks, so that when we use the hashtag sign on the CSS, we will be able to refer which range switch are we trying to modify of its design. We will assign a function to each range switch. We use 2 variables to get the elements by ID, and then inside each function, we assign this .value to one of the variables, and then the other variable will be equated to a function. This is to give an active output as you modify the input on the range switch. We will assign a default value upon starting the web page when you open it on an internet browser. We will be using switch statements to condition the output. And then if you look at carefully, the switch statement has a particular variable being subjected to the conditioning statement. Normally, this .value is a numerical one, a whole number, basically. We subject it to the switch statement so that we will condition the output depending on its original result. If the case is 0, it displays the word ret, which is short for retracted. Case 1, it displays the fraction 1/4. Case 2, it displays the fraction 1/2. Case 3, it displays the fraction 3/4. And case 4, it displays the word full. This refers to the flap and speed brake levers of an airplane. Instead of displaying the numbers 0 to 4, we showcase something else, letters or special characters such as slashes. In a much simpler range switch between 0 and 1, we correspond them with off and on, respectively. This is for the engines 1 and 2. We specify the design of the range sliders. They have been highlighted in yellow to emphasize the codes that will do this thing. We have already taught you how to use CSS coding to modify certain elements on a web page using dots and number signs, hashtag signs, to be more familiar. We rotate the range sliders by 90 degrees, clockwise, or the other way around. 90 degrees would normally be clockwise, but if you put a negative sign, a minus sign, it would spin in the other direction. That is counterclockwise. Notice that the speed brakes and flap levers have been rotated 90 degrees clockwise, while the engine's 1 and 2 lever for switching off or on, they have been rotated 90 degrees counterclockwise. We will now add a description to the web page so that it would be interesting to know what is this web page all about. We have already demonstrated in a previous video on how to use bold, italic, and underline to emphasize certain words inside a paragraph. We will now preview the outputs of range sliders. There are 4 range sliders. As you can see, the inner sliders have 2 positions, while the outer ones have 5 configurations. Instead of numbers that have been displayed, they have been showcasing letters. Isn't that amazing that you can modify the outputs using switch statements?